It's fantasy football draft season. We're looking at players every day. We're looking at the draft strategies. Today, we're going to talk about 5 players I'm avoiding in drafts. Guys, I'm not drafting, especially at cost, at ADP. Maybe I'll swoop in and take some discounts, but we'll talk about the strategies on these players as we deep dive them. Before we dig in, though, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're doing player lists. We're doing deep dives. We're looking at the rankings. We're doing draft strategies. We're going to help you set your lineups. We're going to find those gems off the waiver wire. It's all right here. It's free. Click that button. Stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching. Do not disappoint Ric Flair. But we're going to start off with James Cook. We're looking at him. He wasn't super efficient last year. He's not a generational prospect or anything. He scored a lot of touchdowns. One of the tops in the league at scoring touchdowns. Efficiency metrics do not match the fantasy production. Yards created, 25th. Yards created per touch, 33rd. True yards per carry, 19th. Yards per touch, 12th, which is fine. Evaded tackles, 28th. Juke rate, 37th. Routes ran, 8.7 a game, so we're not buoyed by the passing game. We're buoyed by this offense a bit. It's very explosive. But his production metrics are buoyed by touchdowns. And if that cuts in half, and if it's cut in half, it's still a damn good season on the outside looking in. Fantasy-wise, you're looking at a point per game total that's down there. You're looking at 15.7 points per game, but he's still a little bit volatile. He's got some good upside due to the Bills' offense, due to his nose for the end zone. But what if we continue to be not efficient, not getting work in the passing game, and the touchdowns shut off for a little bit? What if that slows down? There were also some games at the start of the season where the game script was run heavy. What if they got to air it out a little bit more? What if they're a little bit more efficient in the passing game? What if Ray Davis steps up a little bit, vultures some touchdowns? What if that happens? 14.4 opportunities per game last year. A little bit on the lower end when I'm looking at where I'm at. And there's a lot of good players in his range. When you're looking at wide receivers, running backs thin and out, but you're getting ready to hit the top of that dead zone where you got a good fork in the road of veteran RB2s and rookie running backs. And I can strategize around this. I might have a good core of running backs already when I get to them, 1 or 2 of them. If I go here RB, I already got 2 running backs. Why would I care about James Cook? I should be pounding wide receivers. If I'm going 0 RB, then I'm not going James Cook. If I'm going here RB, I'm definitely not going James Cook. He's no way going to be an anchor. He was last year, but he was buoyed by touchdowns. I got the numbers here, and they're the same numbers I look at every running back. They're mid. They're mid when it comes to efficiency. So what if the touchdowns drop because we're not getting much work in the passing game? And there's a chance that could happen because touchdowns are volatile year to year, and he could score 12 touchdowns and it'd be a reduction. It could impact him, and you will feel that in the stat sheet. Now we're looking at Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings is up there in ADP around the 6th round range. Underdog fantasy, probably a little bit cheaper in home league drafts. Ricky Pearsall's coming on pretty strong here in training camp. You got Kittle. Christian McCaffrey looks healthy. He's going to be vulturing targets. Ayuk's going to be back somewhere down the line. Ranked as wide receiver 34-ish off the board. You look at what he did last year. We got 3 wide receiver 1 weeks. Ton of wide receiver 3 weeks. Looks like he could be volatile. He's getting a lot of work though. 26.3% target share. 7.5 targets per game. 8 less than 10, but pretty much right at 10. What are we doing here with all this workload and not scoring fantasy points? That's the question. Christian McCaffrey out. We got opportunity in a lot of these games, but we're getting a lot of targets here. There's multiple games here, like we're either at double-digit targets or pushing double-digit targets, but the fantasy production's not matching it. Like, if I was getting fantasy points per target, I'd have them up there. But what's going on here where we're not cashing in on all these targets? We're not getting the production to match that. We're running a lot of routes, 26.5 routes a game. The workload's saying, hey, this guy could be a wide receiver 1. But the fantasy stat sheet's saying, hey, what's happening? What's the disconnect here? Is the accuracy of targets? What's not being brought in? That is the question here. He could go off on any given Sunday. He's proven that. He was functional in fantasy for 4 games last season. His ADP does not match that. That makes that very scary. Christian McCaffrey's back. He's going to suck up workload. Kittle's going to soak up workload. Pearsall looks like he's on the come up, which makes him a risk. There's other upside assets in his range from RJ Harvey, Trevion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, to dependable RB2s like James Conner, if you like Dave Montgomery, your flavor. Isaac Pacheco, your flavor, whatever you like. Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears out with an injury right now. You got other wide receivers here in the mix. There's a lot of volatility right here, and things ain't matching up. There's a lot of other routes you can go right now in this spot of the draft. DeAndre Swift. I've been thinking hard about him. There are some times where you look at him and you think this could be okay. You look at the efficiency metrics. It's even worse than the other players we looked at. True yards per carry, 59th. Yards created, 16th, which is fine, but per touch is 40th. Yards per touch, 36th. Juke rate, 51st. Evaded tackles, 25th. Route participation, 15th, 38.9%. It's fine. It's okay. Routes ran, okay. 8th among running backs. That's okay work in the passing game. 14.5 routes ran a game. Target share less than 10%. Right at 10. I'll give him 10. I'll spot him a 0.1. Fantasy points per game, 21st among running backs, 12.6. Where is the upside? Can anybody look at DeAndre Swift and say this is a player that's going to help them win their league? If I'm already this point in the draft, I'm either going dead set, 0 RB if I don't have running backs, or already got running backs and I feel good. There's some wide receivers in this range. There's some running backs in this range. He can give you some pop-off weeks, especially catching that work in the passing game, red zone looks. Pretty much the same amount of top-end weeks you should expect for anybody getting this much workload. But getting this much workload, I would want my running back to at least be more consistent. Week in, week out with the fantasy production, which is not there. You're seeing a lot of RB3 weeks. Too many to really hitch my wagon to. He also has an injury history, which is pretty much gone, but could crop back up. That was a big pain in the side of fantasy gamers back in the day when he was with the Detroit Lions. We're further removed from that. We had a season with Philly. We had last year. We got this. But again, you're looking at this. We ain't got the consistency. It's not there in efficiency metrics either. And you can go a bunch of different routes. A bunch of different routes here. Smack dab in the middle of the draft. Keon Coleman. He's cheap. He's cheap. He could surprise you. But there are also other wide receivers in his offense that are getting some love. From Joshua Palmer, Elijah Moore. When you're looking at training camp. Like they could be sucking up some targets. But he could get you some Gabe Davis work this year where he can get you like 5 wide receiver 1 weeks and a bunch of wide receiver 3 weeks. But when I'm to this point of the draft, I'm good at wide receiver where I don't have to make this selection and worry about a volatile wide receiver. I'm here looking at lottery ticket running backs. I'm thinking about quarterback. I'm thinking about tight end. Like, he could bounce up from what he did from his rookie season. Like, he flashed a tiny bit. Kind of wish there was a little bit more during his rookie year. 15.5% target share. That 8 out of 15.2, though. Those numbers let you know that this is going to be a volatile player in fantasy football. Volatile, depending on how your ears hear that, might sound super sexy or amazing to you. Because on daily fantasy football, Keon Coleman's a guy you're throwing in a few lineups if you're max entering. If you're playing best ball, Keon Coleman's going to be great. If you're setting lineups, this is going to be a headache. Like, he's going to have a run this year, I bet you, where he looks good. And he's going to have a run this year where he's non-existent. And you're not going to know when to start him. When you start him, he might flatline. When you bench him, he might hit. But I'm already going to be good at wide receiver. And I'm going to be to a point where I'm all right in my lineup. I don't need to have that headache. Even though I might get a decent points per game out of him, 10 to 12, maybe more, depending on how these veterans shake up throughout the season. Joshua Palmer, we're hearing good things about him. Hearing good things about Elijah Moore. They're moving him around. Khalil Shakir gets target share in this offense. Keon Coleman could bounce up this year. He's got the talent to do that. The numbers from last year, how he plays the game, indicates a player that can be very volatile. You need to strategize around him. Jaylen Warren, I think he's a great running back prospect. I think he's great for what he is. Yards created per touch, 9th among running backs. Yards per touch, 13. I don't trust this offense. I don't trust Arthur Smith. We got a rookie running back in here that looks very talented that should be taking touches. Jaylen Warren's going to be the starter. I don't think anybody knows that, the way people act in the fantasy football space, but he's going to be the starter. He's going to get starter snaps and touches, but he's going to be sharing the workload too, and you're going to be waiting every single week wondering when that moment's going to happen. But the efficiency is there and not there when you're looking at his workload. True yards per carry, 28th. Juke rate, 23rd. Evaded tackles, 33rd. Yards created per touch, 9th, though. So he can get it done. You saw that last year. He got you some double-digit weeks, 2 RB1 weeks. Sharing the workload. He's going to be sharing the workload again. Aaron Rodgers is not a fast-paced quarterback. This should be a slow-paced offense. Not a lot of plays ran. You're going to see a lot of dogfights with this offense. He's going to be sharing some of the workload or a lot of it. It could end up 50-50, 60-40, 70-30. That being said, I don't expect him pounding it out being the guy. At this rate of the draft, I'm taking upside. There's a few wide receivers I'm okay with. I'm also starting to think about quarterback here. I'm thinking a little bit more at tight end if I haven't picked one up yet. Those are at play right now. And I want to have space for lottery ticket running backs. I want running backs that can win my league. And I'm looking at Jaylen Warren, and I can't really tell the story about how he turns things around and wins the league for you. I can't do that. Like, he gets a lot of touches, maybe some red zone looks. I just don't see enough work in the passing game. Like, DK Metcalf's going to get a lot of work in the passing game. He's not even running 10 routes a game, so that floor's really not going to be there. So we're going to have to get red zone looks. We're going to have to get a lot of that, a lot of work in the red zone, a lot of opportunities touching the football, running it up the gut. Defense is keyed in on that because it's DK Metcalf and really nothing in this offense, and hoping Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, that the offense moves the ball. And with Arthur Smith there pulling the strings, you never know. Like, there could be a game he gets 30 touches and the next week he gets 5. We've seen that in Atlanta with Arthur Smith. But at the price, you got other running backs, similar workload, similar situations, and you got upside running backs later in the draft, and it's a good section of the draft where you're looking quarterback as well. So there's a lot to look at here with Jaylen Warren. He could be a surprise play in the fact that he's going to be the starter for the Steelers, but that surprise play might be not enough to get you over the top anyways, and maybe not even enough to crack your lineup or make you happy with what he did most weeks. Those are the 5 players we're looking at today. Who are you not drafting? I want to hear about that. Drop that in the comments below. Got questions on a player? Drop that in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button though on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.